And now for the Q&A.
Hello, here's a question from Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Rob says, longtime fan and just started listening to the podcast. He says,
Longtime fan, first-time listener.
first time listener. He says,
Glad to have you, Rob.
yeah, I too have struggled with my weight. I relate to what you have to say about your relationship with food, particularly your all or nothing attitude when it comes to your diet. I can go a while, and then if I slip, it's too easy to keep falling back into overeating. He's from northern Minnesota. He says, because of the past, well, okay, sorry. He says, now I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly and I feel terrible, but it's Ojibwe. I'm an Ojibwe. Is that right? Now I feel like, we need to do this one again so I can like learn this correctly and not butcher. But he goes,
No, Rob will hear you butcher his heritage.
oh, gosh. Okay. He says, I'm an Ojibwe, which is spelled Ojibwe, and I genuinely apologize if I didn't
I
pronounce
think it
that
sounds
correctly.
like Ojibwe in my head.
Okay, great. He's from northern Minnesota. And the reason he points that out is he says, because in the past and in our hunter gatherer economy in former times, often it was literally feast or famine.
Yeah.
A lot of our ceremony and rites of passage, sometimes things as simple as praying, have a food component. I struggle with keeping consistent and not losing control at our bigger feasts. How do you take the beast? Maybe he means tame, but how do you tame the beast in any type of social situation? I get what he's asking, and I'm yeah.
No, I understand totally. I try to set, thanks for the question. I try to set guardrails. I find that I will eat out of anxiety, and any kind of, for me, public settings with a lot of people give me anxiety. And fuck, man, like, just being at dinner with people and being in the presence of people who are doing something like eating and not doing it, even that gives me anxiety and makes me want to eat. And like, I'm a really fast eater, so when I finish my food and then people are like, my wife's sister, is the slowest eater on earth. So going to lunch with her, I'm maybe done with my food before she's taken her first bite. And that's not even really an exaggeration. Like, she will talk and look at her food and cut a piece and then talk, and I'm like blowing through mine. And then I have this thing of like, well, it's rude to let people eat alone. So now I have to order something else. So like, there's a lot that goes into it. And we also have, all the stupid traditions. I'm not calling your tradition stupid, but I do think of my traditions as stupid, where they're all centered around food. Um, I completely understand if you come from a group of people that were hunters and gatherers really not that long ago, and you're trying to uphold those traditions, and the celebration is literally based around food. Like, we caught a big animal and we're going to have a celebration about this. I get that. Or the harvest came in and we're going to celebrate it. Mine seem to be like just ways to get kids to eat chocolate and buy turkeys.
Yeah.
And so these food centric celebrations, I try to put up some guardrails. So the biggest one for me is just not overeating, and that's tough, because that's exactly what he's talking about. So I think just white knuckling that idea, I'm not going to overeat, I'm not going to overeat, I'm not going to overeat, that's maybe not going to bring him success. But like, are there other active things you could do? Could you eat, like, if it's the types of food, are there any limitations on types of food that you could set? I don't know what that celebration looks like at all, or what the types of foods are, but like, I know I've gone like, well, um, for Christmas sometimes, well, I'm just going to eat the meat. I'm not going to eat all the other stuff that's served, the stuffing and potatoes and, desserts. And even if I overeat the meat a little bit, I feel better the next day than if I'd eaten all the other stuff. Um, on Thanksgiving, I can overeat the shit out of turkey and feel great the next day. I get pretty sleepy that night, but I
Mhm.
feel pretty good the next day. And have just like little tastes of stuff, but limit it to I'm going to take one small spoon of stuffing, and when that's done, I'm not going back for more. Um, Really, I do try to work mostly on not overeating, not snacking at all. I'm going to have what's on my plate, and that's it. And then trying to be up and on my feet and active and doing anything else I can that does not involve eating food. So I would suggest looking for, are there games that are played? Are there people to talk to? Are there, anything active? I even like to, this idea where, a big part of recovery uh, with sobriety is being of service. And a lot of that is like, I'm going to go to this meeting and set up, and then I'm going to help put everything away, fold up the chairs, clean up the space, just anything like that. Like doing dishes for me has become something that I go to simply because it keeps me away from the food. And there's always an excess of dirty dishes around the holidays at my house. And so, like, anytime I can break away and go do dishes, um, those are some of the ways that I work on these traps of gluttony.
That makes perfect sense. And I personally appreciate that answer as well. I think this is something that no matter what your heritage or traditions are, we all have some version of this. So that's, yeah, it's super helpful. And I apologize again, Rob, if I did not say your um, heritage name correctly. I am now genuinely curious and want to check it out. Thank you for the question. Do let us know any success you have. And if anybody else has a question, you can email it. Ethan will answer it. It's hello@americanglutton.net.